Ancient strategy, modern sales, one usable line per episode.
Last time, obvious paths are defended. Today, how momentum is created quietly, and why the deals that seem to close overnight were actually built over weeks of invisible preparation. I had 2 deals last quarter. One I chased hard, constant follow-ups, pushed for meetings, escalated timelines. It closed, but it took forever and required a discount. The other, I barely noticed it closing. A few conversations, a shared article, a casual check-in. Then one day, the client said, "Let's do this." It felt effortless.
Which one felt better?
The second one, by far, and the margins were better too. No negotiation pressure, no discount. The client seemed genuinely excited. But here's what bothered me. I couldn't explain how it happened. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how quiet momentum builds, and how to create it intentionally instead of accidentally. My old belief, momentum means intensity. If a deal isn't moving, push harder. More emails, more urgency, more reasons to act now. Motion equals momentum.
Motion and momentum are different things.
How?
Motion is activity without direction. Momentum is accumulated force with direction. You can send 10 emails in a week, that's motion. But if each email pushes the prospect further away, you have no momentum. You have friction disguised as effort.
So more activity doesn't mean more momentum.
Often it means less. Every unnecessary touch point that adds pressure bleeds momentum. The prospect starts associating you with obligation instead of opportunity. Your activity is working against you. True momentum builds quietly, through value, trust, and alignment. Not through volume. Sun Tzu described this principle with remarkable precision. Ji shui ji ji, ji yu piao shi zhe, shi yi, the rush of water that can move boulders, that is momentum. Ji niao ji ji, ji yu hui zhe zhe, jie yi, the strike of a hawk that can break its prey, that is timing.
Water moving boulders, that's an extreme image.
But think about how water builds that power. Not suddenly. The river doesn't start by smashing rocks. It begins as a trickle, collects in streams, gains volume, finds its channel. By the time it reaches the boulder, the force is irresistible. No single drop moved the rock. The accumulation did. Hold that image. It's the key to quiet momentum in sales.
So momentum isn't a single powerful action. It's the accumulated effect of many small ones.
Precisely. And the timing, the hawk, that's knowing when the momentum has built enough to act. Not before, not after. The push is pointless without the accumulation. And the accumulation is wasted without the right moment.
And in sales, what are the small actions that build momentum?
Every interaction where you add value without asking for something. A relevant article shared. A thoughtful observation about their business. An introduction to someone helpful. These are drops in the river. Each one is small, but they accumulate. The prospect begins to think of you not as a salesperson, but as a resource.
And when enough drops accumulate,
the boulder moves. The prospect reaches out to you. They mention your solution in an internal meeting. They forward your email to their boss. Not because you pushed, because the momentum carried him there. The close feels natural because the force built naturally.
That's what happened with my second deal. I wasn't pushing, I was adding value consistently. And the deal moved on its own.
You built the river without realizing it. Let's make it deliberate. But first, why pushing destroys the momentum you need?
So what specifically kills quiet momentum?
3 momentum killers. Each one feels productive but actually drains force from your pipeline. First, premature escalation. Asking for the meeting before they've received enough value. Asking for the decision before they've built internal consensus. Every premature ask forces the prospect to say no. And each no creates resistance that future value has to overcome. You've interrupted the river.
Second,
Inconsistent presence. Value today. Silence for 3 weeks. Then a sudden pitch. The prospect's memory of your value fades during the gap. When you reappear with an ask, you're starting over. Momentum requires consistency, not intensity, regularity. Small, steady inputs.
And third,
making it about you instead of them. Every message that centers your product, your timeline, your quota, shifts the energy. The prospect feels the pull. They sense the agenda. Quiet momentum requires selfless interactions. Every touchpoint says, I'm thinking about your business. Not, I'm thinking about my commission.
So the pattern is, I get impatient. I escalate too early or disappear and then reappear with an ask. Either way, I'm breaking the accumulation. The river stops, the boulder stays, and I blame the prospect for not moving.
When you're the one who disrupted the flow.
How do I build momentum deliberately?
3 practices. Each one adds to the river without disturbing it.
Adding without disturbing, that's the key.
Exactly. Practice 1. The value cadence. Set a rhythm for providing value to your key prospects. Every 10 to 14 days, something useful. Not a check-in, not a just following up. Something that makes their work better. A competitive insight, a relevant case study, an industry trend they might have missed. The cadence builds familiarity without pressure.
Practice 2.
Plant seeds in their language. Listen carefully to how your prospect describes their challenges. Then, in future conversations, use their exact words back to them. Not to manipulate, to demonstrate that you've truly heard them. When someone feels deeply understood, momentum builds faster than any pitch could create. They start to trust that you see what they see.
And practice 3.
Create small wins before the big ask. Find ways to deliver results before the contract is signed. A quick analysis of the current process. A recommendation that saves them time this week. When someone has already experienced your value firsthand, the proposal isn't a risk. It's a continuation. The boulder is already moving. Now, the one line for this episode.
Let's hear it.
Build momentum, don't push.
Build momentum, don't push.
When a deal feels stuck, resist the urge to push harder. Instead, ask, have I been building the river? Have I been adding value consistently? Is the momentum accumulating? If not, pushing won't fix it. More drops will. Patient, consistent, value-driven drops.
So it's not about being slow.
It's about being steady. Pushing is fast but creates friction. Building is patient but creates force. The river doesn't rush, it accumulates. And when it's ready, nothing stops it. 2 more tools. Ask yourself, what can I give this prospect this week that has nothing to do with my product?
You're adding a drop to the river.
Pure value, no agenda. When you can consistently answer this question, momentum builds itself. The prospect begins to associate you with insight, not obligation.
And the second tool.
Before any ask, check. Has the momentum built enough for this to feel natural? If you have to force the ask, the river hasn't reached the boulder yet. Wait, add more value. The right moment will announce itself, because the prospect will start signaling readiness.
3 tools. Build momentum, don't push. What can I give with no agenda? And, has the momentum built enough? All about accumulation over intensity.
Let's lock them in.
Here's my takeaway. Momentum isn't created by intensity, it's created by consistency. Premature escalation, inconsistent presence, and self-centered outreach all break the accumulation. The deals that close easiest are the ones where value was added steadily until the decision felt obvious.
Keep going.
Sun Tzu said the rush of water that moves boulders, that is momentum. It doesn't happen instantly, it accumulates. In sales, the value cadence, planting seeds in their language, and creating small wins before the big ask. These are the drops. Steady and quiet, until the boulder moves on its own. The principle, don't push the boulder. Build the river.
Drill zone. Come back here before your next pipeline review. You have a deal that isn't moving. Your instinct says, send another follow-up. Push for the meeting. Create urgency. What do you tell yourself?
Build momentum, don't push.
Again, like you've watched the river start as a trickle and end moving boulders.
Build momentum, don't push.
Good. Now the value question.
What can I give this prospect this week that has nothing to do with my product?
And the readiness check.
Has the momentum built enough for this to feel natural?
The sequence. Deal feels stuck. Reset. Build momentum, don't push. Give. What can I share with no agenda? Check. Has the momentum built enough? Don't force the river. Feed it. Steady drops. The boulder will move when the force is ready.
Reset. Give. Check.
This week's test. Pick your most stalled deal. Instead of following up with an ask, send pure value. An article, an insight, something useful with no strings. Do this twice this week. Watch what shifts.
And if nothing shifts?
Then the river needs more time. Patience isn't passive. It's strategic. 2 value touches this week. 2 more next week. The accumulation will reach the boulder. Trust the process over the push.
Which tool should I try first?
Whichever matches your week. A. Build momentum, don't push. B. What can I give with no agenda? Or C. Has the momentum built enough? Drop your pick in the comments. I read every one.
What's next?
The difference between force and direction, and why the hardest push often produces the weakest result. Same calm tone, 1 usable line.
Ancient strategy, modern sales, 1 usable line per episode.